This piece is titled, My Father's History Has Many Mansions. The story of an unlikely hero is a motif for the intersection of blackness and odds defying odds. Likeliness does not negate worthiness, does not suggest ability. Even the idea of a hero being unexpected is subjective to who dares to expect what. But follow me on this journey.
Your father's contribution to our community is so great and so vast, and Moses family is so special to me and everyone here in Ardmore. So I wanted to make sure that what happens here today, back at home, where your dad grew up, is going to be something that we all have to be able to look back on and to propel us to spend even more time together and to get even closer and to learn everyone's stories. So this is just the start.
In the area, was he part of a church, or what was his religious tie-in? I guess in Ardmore, or was it just a artwork that he chose, for a reason?
I'm going to rely on a couple of our community members here. Does anybody have an idea about? Yes.
My Uncle Paul, to my belief, and from what I'm hearing from my mother, basically he wasn't an atheist. He had his own depiction of what he believed in. I'll leave it at that. But as far as that, yes.
It looked to me like, and I couldn't see real clearly, but it looked to me like the artwork was a person of color. That was, well, that's you don't always see that in churches, so that's kind of where my question is.
Absolutely.
I remember a conversation with one of the librarians at the Ardmore Library who talked about the black school that was in Ardmore. And she actually shared a picture with me of that school, which now sits where the senior center is.
Ardmore Avenue.
And I just would love it if you can share some of that history.
It wasn't quoted as being black, but
Yes,
the majority we were black. School day.
Whatever the political climate called for, the redistricting started, and we were scattered everywhere. Because we only represent still to this day 7 to 8% of the population in Lower Merion School District. Another thing that played into splitting us up and putting us everywhere is that when you have 6 elementary schools, you can't have 3 of them appear to be segregated. So what happens then? They divide us even further. That's just another piece of the conversation and another piece of the puzzle as to what happened to those of us who lived here in Ardmore, South Bryn Mawr, and what our community meant to Lower Merion, and thankfully to the Lower Merion Historical Society. They are now intent on making sure that our stories and who we are and what we contributed to Lower Merion and still do begins to be archived along with the rest of the history of Lower Merion Township. We are every bit as much a part of the history, and I just want to tell you, and I say it all the time, but I'm going to say it again, I truly appreciate your work, Aaron, and your decision, and your really putting yourself out there to make sure that we're included. I really appreciate it. I do.
What was his favorite medium? Has he seen watercolor? Has he oil?
I would guess probably watercolor. Probably easier to get that going. I'm not an artist. I've never done any, paintings or what have you, sketches. I mean, my thing back in the day was I would sketch baseball stadiums. But I would go with watercolor. My friend in the back, yes. Nice and loud.
Oh, no, it's not. Are you serious?
Okay.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Painting, I love painting because I can draw. You can draw your family and if you and you can draw your dream car and your dream. And
Okay. That's awesome. And what's your first name?
Titan.
Oh, you gotta say it a little louder. I'm
Titan.
61 years old. I can't hear you. I'm sorry?
Titan.
Titan. Okay, so let's give him a round of applause for. Thank you very much. Hopefully you will see yourself in the art world at some point.
Say hi, Mama.
The result of the mainline gospel concerts was a summer program for kids from the neighborhood and the beginnings of an eventual scholarship program. I know the library will have an archive of that performance. I'm pretty sure I do, so if you're interested, get my email and send it to me.
Yes, for sure.
If you ever heard it, you'd remember, on Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand.
Right.
And they filled the entire field house with that performance. It was a much bigger event than playing sports against them.
Now let me ask you, do you think perhaps that may have motivated him for the crucifixion?
I can't tell you that, but it was definitely, look, this was a Quaker college that had the Jewish quota of one. They simply wanted to ignore that African American community. But it changed. And it was actually one of the things, as I was told, one of the relatively few Jewish students said, we need a Hebrew camp, you know, and bring the kids in from Ardmore. So that's a bit of history it's worth rising to the surface.
Are you satisfied with what you learn now? And who really helped you to learn about your father? People that knew him? Like you said, the man who had a painting over his bed.
Okay, so am I satisfied with where I'm at now with the information? Where did some of this information come from regarding maybe family members, people that were in the art world at that time? It mostly came from family members, his sister in particular. She's 92? 92. And she gave more or less stories about him and the family. I'm satisfied with what I know and what I've learned. Many times from, this whole thing started back in 2013 as an idea, and once I gathered photos of the paintings, you know, me being in infancy of thinking that, oh, sure, all I need are pictures of the paintings to go to the little museum, I'm trying to think, the Smart Museum on campus at UC, and say, okay, here's a picture of 15 or so paintings, how about an exhibit? And I'm sure they looked at me like, this guy has no idea what he's doing, which I did. But not so much through the artwork. There's a metal file cabinet, and there must be 50 or so artists where you've got the 3x5 cards, and in that file cabinet it goes from A through Z. And I looked at that, it's so meticulous, and you know, I don't think there may have been a small diagram of his writing. The writing is just impeccable. But it's little things like that, I think, that make me feel so much better about learning and, you know, his level of organization to say, well, if he can do that, I can do it as well.